Hello, Peter.
Hello, Armin. How are you
I'm
today?
very good, and especially when I see you, I'm always perfect.
Oh yeah, I,
Mm.
I I just feel like in paradise when I see you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're all female followers. They
Mm,
they
mhm,
get their
mhm, mhm.
things. Okay. So what's the thing today?
The thing today is that the one we had for the show, he said he had time, didn't get back to me anymore since yesterday, so I don't know what happened. That's always the thing, but we don't want to always put three for one day, because when all three have time, then we need to tell two. Listen, we can't. So that's why
So we are victims again of the rough world.
yes, victims of the rough world. Yeah,
Okay. Hmm.
lockdown victims.
Locked down.
uh,
Victimus. I
that's why we talked
understand.
today about arrows, right? Let me guess.
Arrows.
Arrows. Yes. The last time we talked about instinctive, intuitive aiming, and there is this one he had then, but you still see the arrow. And I said, yes, I didn't say
Yeah.
that you don't see the arrow. Of course, you have the whole target sight, but you don't focus on anything on your hand on the arrow. You only focus on the spot on the target. But I think some
I'm.
people have a hard time to understand this. And I always try to explain it when you throw a stone. Do you look at the stone, or do you look where you want to throw it? Or if you
No,
play
but
golf, you
I
have
got
nothing to aim.
I got them, and I like to say I have to correct exactly three things.
Mm.
The first thing is, I
Show
think
me now your
two.
middle finger. Okay, fine, thank you.
I think two podcasts before we talked about Jean d'Arc, the Greta Thunberg of the
Yeah,
French,
yeah, yeah.
and of course, in this podcast, I said she was a puppet of the English. Of course, it was not true. The
Mm-hmm.
English burned her. So I
Mm-hmm.
like to correct it. And okay, that's the one thing.
Yeah, but on the other side, Greta Thunberg, she is a puppet of the Davos clan, and Davos clan will burn her if it's necessary. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
never know.
But it was
The
it
one
was
who
not.
makes you will break you.
Yeah, but in my opinion, as far as I know, it was not true. She was
Mhm.
the
Okay.
English burned her. In fact,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
the second thing was we talked about why the English demanded for the throne of France.
Mm-hmm.
So in a bigger view, I was right, but I like to make it more precise or
Precisely. Mm-hmm.
precisely. Uh, the Vikings terrorized France,
Mm-hmm.
all the Mediterranean countries,
Mm-hmm.
and all around this Western world, let's say,
Okay.
and it's also in this serial of the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that's true. So one of this Ragnar Lothbrok was a kind of legendary figure,
Mm-hmm.
and in the serial, his brother Rollo. But this and you have to know the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok
Mm-hmm.
were historical figures,
Mm-hmm.
but the father was a kind of legendary figure, and his brother in this serial was Rollo,
Mm-hmm.
and this Rollo feature is also historical because he intermarried. They 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 sieged Paris two times,
Mm-hmm.
the Vikings, and then I don't remember it well, but then this Rollo was swept over to the side of the French
Mm-hmm.
and married a French princess.
Mm-hmm.
And after so they intermarried. The Vikings
Mm-hmm.
intermarried with the
Okay.
French nobility,
Okay.
and so then they gave them this Normandy
Normandy. Mm-hmm.
country, and I think William William the Conqueror, who
Mm-hmm.
conquered England, was a son of this Rollo. It's about the year 1000 around, after Christ. And so they were Vikings intermarried with the French nobility, and William the Conqueror conquered England. And so from this idea, with the relationships and so on, they said, we have a kind of a right of the French throne and so on. And that's the one story that what I wanted to correct, so it's more clear. And the third thing is that what you said just...
But one thing we can, when we have Raphael Rambour next time, we can ask him. I think he knows a bit more details about this.
I'm sure.
So we ask him. And
but I fear I said some not enough or wrong things, so I like to clear it out. And the third thing is what just you said is milli for nilli. Yeah. There were some comments in the last podcast about instinctive and intuitive, and I hate all these phrases, but okay. And one guy wrote, okay, but you ever will see the bow and the arrow and so on, even if you focus on the spot. And that's exactly true, of course. And I think I wrote a comment that's true. And your brain will connect all these parameters, these vectors, to a kind of program if you often do it again. And of course, you see your bow and you see the arrow and you see your bow hand and you see the target and you see the clouds and everything around.
But in your peripheral vision, because you focus on the spot, on the target.
And your computer and your brain will bring this to a conclusion, but in half of a second.
Even less.
Or less in light speed, so to say. So you see a situation and you raise your bow and you shoot. And of course, your eyes see the bow and the arrow and everything. And in that way, this guy writing this comment was right. You can't avoid to see the bow or the arrow.
But you don't look at it. This is what we said, that you don't look at your stuff. Of course you see it. Nobody said that you don't see it. You don't have a tunnel vision. You don't look like this to the target. Of course not.
But a very nice term you said, the tunnel vision. Because if you think about that, if you and there you are
in a tunnel vision,
if there you're in Zen Buddhism or in in a higher level of consciousness. So if you have a tunnel vision and you only see the spot you want to hit, you can't miss it.
The thing is that because you look at it and it's eye-hand coordination at the end. So where I look, the arrow will go. Of course, I see everything around because I don't stand like this and look at the target. But I need to focus on the target. I don't look at my arrow because I do this when we had the basic courses. I did this focus defocus test. I let them stand with an arrow there. Let me show you. So with an arrow there pointing at the target. So now look at the target, focus on the target. How do you see the arrow? Blurry, right? So now stand there and look at the tip of the arrow. You see it? Yes. Do you see the target? No, it's blurry. And this is the thing, you simply focus on your target. Of course, you see this all a little blurry in the surrounding. You can't blend it out.
But there you are. This was what Byron Ferguson says and also Howard Hill said. If you just visualizing and seeing the coin in there,
of course, then
you just can hit the coin.
This is then, but this is what even for Byron Ferguson only happened once or twice in his lifetime. That's the next level.
Zen Buddhism, no question about it.
Even in Chinese archery, they had this writing that master said, listen, you stare now, you hang a fly on a hair, in your window frame and you stare at it without blinking for hours and hours until you really zoom in. And this is what Howard Hilde said, and this is what Byron Ferguson said, that you zoom in and you see this fly this big in front of you, and how can you miss it then? And this is next level.
And so when you're in a 3D tournament, for our viewers now to say, you see a very big picture. You see a lot of trees. You see the ground, you see the sky, you see everything, and you see the target, the animal, the 3D animal. And the art to hit the animal is to blend out all the other stuff. In the same moment, your brain will judge all this, if it's downhill, if it's uphill, if it's light to dark or dark to light, and so on, because that all will fool you if you're shooting from bright sunlight into the dark, and the opposite, that all fools you. But if you're doing it a lot and you're able to see, and that's the next step. The biggest mistake, and I always making it, of course, you see the animal. You blend out the trees and the tree and the heaven and the earth and everything, but you just see the animal. And that's not enough.
No.
You have to see one spot.
Center of the sand. You need to find one small dot, a hair, or a colorful chain or
Fred
something.
Bear said, look at one hair on your target and you will hit it. And that's what I wanted to say. Not that you don't see the bow or the trees or the arrow and so on.
I mean, it's the same, of course, in fighting. So if I want to punch someone, of course, I might look there and punch, but of course I still see the whole other thing if he punches directly back or if he blocks or whatever. So it's the same. You simply focus on one spot and you go for it. The same in archery, same in golf.
And your second vision, like Howard Hill said, is a split vision. Your split vision will see the feet of the other boxer, and on his feet you will recognize what he's going to do. But it's one thing. If you have to think about it for a while, you're lost, of course. And the same is with real archery or with real combat kind of shooting or hunting, bow hunting, let's say.
Of course.
Okay, so we have.
I hope we clarified that now.
Yeah.
Nobody said that you don't see the arrow, but you don't look at it, and that's the difference.
So what are your really important parts and parameters or things with an arrow, on an arrow?
The shaft, the tip, the nock, and the fletching.
It looks bent.
No, it's its camera. This is a small camera.
I see.
This is arrow straight.
Yeah, but it's very simple. So what is to say about the shaft?
The shaft, I like them. I mean, I like carbon shaft. This is an old carbon shaft from Gold Tip, I think, or from Bear Paw already. This timber stick. They are not bad quality, and they look like wood, but that I don't mind. I only don't like the black carbon shaft so much. And I shoot mostly carbon. That's why for me, material-wise, it's carbon. But of course, you run into problems when you shoot a Manju bow, and they are supposed to have, let's say, 15 grams per pound, and you shoot a 36-inch carbon shaft. You don't get the weight, or almost not the weight you need for it, even if you use the heaviest carbon shaft you can have. Then you can, of course, take already a heavier tip and a longer insert, but you still don't get that. And you need to fill the shaft with something. Then you get the weight you need for it. But for the rest, I'm a happy carbon guy. And these ones are new from Nijora.de, from this German company. They make them now white in 36 inches. Isn't that nice? And soon even in spine 250, because this is 400 spine and it works for 32 inches, but with 36 inches, then the dynamic spine is off. So, but this is for me, my go-to, what I use.
Okay, so let's go for the shaft thing. What I like to say about it is, back then when I started archery, there was very nice Port Orford cedar from Oregon available. These were superior shafts. You know, you got them weighted and spined, and it was nice shafting. When you're kind of purist and you like to have your wooden arrows, there's, in my opinion, there's no way around. You have to order 100 shafts, and you have to have a spine tester and a grain scale, so you can weigh them for weight and for spine. And then you have to, and you know, 5 pounds difference in spine or in weight, that's not the real thing. If you're as good that's a problem to you, so okay, then it's another thing. The next thing, interesting thing, is what Byron Ferguson said in one of our last podcasts. He said he switched from carbon shafts to aluminum shafts because he said you have to spine test and weigh these carbon shafts same like cedar or wooden shafts. And I think I agree.
I did this with these shafts. I weighed them. They are weight-wise plus minus 2 grain. So they're really close together. No problem, so this is, I can't forget this, but the spine is really plus minus almost. When you see it's a 400 spine shaft, it's from 360 to 420. So you
that's
have
a lot. That's a lot.
Then, of course, you need to get many shafts and see that you get them matching, because this one should be always the same.
And what I also like to say is, it's no problem if you get 100 shafts and you spine group them, you're making groups, you have 30 with, and so on.
Exactly.
If you're making one set of the same shafts and you destroy them or whatever, and you're switching to the next set, and this is plus 5 grain, 5 spine, that's not the problem. Especially, as I can say, with this straight hill longbows, they are very forgiving in spine. So okay, it goes to the left by 1 inch, but when you shoot 3 arrows, your brain will correct it, and you will get it again.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the next thing is aluminum shafts, and that's true. These are more precise than any other shafts, in my opinion. And I love my cedar shafts. I love my gold tip carbons.
I have cedar shafts too, and I shot aluminum arrows. I simply don't like them for our archery range, because first of all, we shoot with snake bows, and for these ones, aluminum arrows are just too heavy. I can understand when you have a Howard Field style bow, 50 pounds.
No, we're talking about 3D and
but we talk about archery in general. I only tell you why I never use them. And of course, when you hit something, they bend, and you can't bend them back, they will break. So when you hit something hard, they bend, or at least the ones I had, they shot in the wall or something behind the target, and they bend, and then they can throw them away, because you can't bend them back or whatever.
That's the next interesting thing, because you often can't see a damage on a wooden arrow or on a carbon arrow, but on the aluminum, you will see it instantly if it's bent, and it can't hurt you. It can't.
Exactly. It's only unshootable then, but at least you don't get any.
You will see it.
Yeah. So you're safe. That's true.
Yeah. So I as I say, I'm really love cedar arrows when when you taper them, the smell and everything is
of course
wonderful. And what is interesting, I have some arrows left when I started archery in 1990, and when I break one of them, they still smell.
They
don't
these etheric oils is still in it. They don't go away.
Very nice. So what is the next important thing with arrows for you?
One more thing for me is bamboo, because I like bamboo. This is the natural carbon shaft, and these ones are these Tonkin bamboo. They're 36 inches long and they have no nodes. The other, the normal bamboo shaft, like this one, they have every whatever, they have these nodes. You know, these knots.
You know what I would like to have?
No.
I would like to have bamboo shafts, you
Plain
know,
speaking.
glued in sections like
Yeah,
like a bamboo rod,
they exist too.
very heavy,
Laminated. Yeah, of course.
and the same. You know, if they would be very same spine and weight, I think that would be
It's
the
possible.
best thing on earth.
We had them in Sylt. This from Yuksaka. He had some in Indonesia, some arrow builders, and they were thin, you know, like these modern ones, these modern thin arrows, but they were laminated bamboo stripes, and they were really, really like, this is insane. But I like this one too already. This is nice. There's no nodes in it, and they are really like a carbon shaft, just bamboo. Really nice. What is
I
important?
would agree. I never had them like that.
Yeah.
But if they are made good, I would prefer them over, and they should be heavy. No, I think they had.
Yeah, they are, for my Manchu, they are almost too lightweight. So they are 530 grain and they need a little more weight. So of course I need to fletch them still. But he can, of course, when I ordered them with the horn nocks, this horn tip. This is a horn tip, by the way. But you can, of course, have them with metal tip and with long inserts, and then you get the weight you need. So that's fine. Speaking of tips, which tips do you like? And now not for hunting, for casual target shooting or 3D shooting.
For usually, I like a heavy tipped arrow.
And so, which style? The normal, the field tips?
In my opinion, that's not
the bullet.
In my opinion, that's not a big thing. Most of my arrow points, I have to say, are kind of this field point style. But bullet style is also okay. There's no, I think that the real difference is the weight. So I would always choose the heavier and over spine shaft and using a heavy point. From 100 and my lowest weight points are 145 grains, and my heaviest are 200 grain field points. And I would say 170. That's nice. Need use a stiff shaft and weaken the shaft with a heavy tip. It's my opinion.
But you shoot anyway minimum 10 grain per pound with your hill style bow.
I don't know. I don't know. So now I got
this.
What's
the weight of an arrow you shoot? What's the weight of it?
Would have to weigh it. I don't know. But now I made me, you know, because of this, you know, because of Corona, it didn't work out, this Italian television show. But I made me this Eastern Legacy.
Aluminum.
The wrap. I don't know. So, and now I got from Magenklomp this 200 grain.
I see.
Tips. So this is very point heavy. And I like it. And so as I think that the form of the point doesn't matter as much. I prefer the field point style, but that's not field point, but
I think they do the least damage and they are the easiest to pull out of a target.
And one thing here, you know, these very, very expensive top head points had a kind of rubber O-ring here. And what I would do, and I will order from Amazon or somewhere, a kind of O-ring set and
Mm-hmm.
put it in between there so they
Mm-hmm.
don't come loose,
Yeah.
because that's one drawback of aluminum arrows and
Mm-hmm.
screw-in points. If you don't have this O-ring, they come
Yeah.
loose, and
Mm-hmm.
that's I think I don't like if they
Mm-hmm.
rattle and so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next, do you have to say
No,
something?
fine. No, I only want to say that this I like the top hat stuff.
Yeah, I
What they
like
do
them.
is really premium.
No,
I met them when I was in Sylt. They're so nice people. Then they brought the box, they order what you are. Really nice people, and they do
yeah,
really high quality stuff. So it's really
yeah,
nice.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What
I
do
had
you think? Did you ever experience or had some of these? Where is the camera? These metal hoodies around, but you don't shoot carbon, right? That they don't break, you know, the protectors.
I had this kind of yeah, and also on the
And on the
nocks.
back, you can do it too.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, if you know, if you hit the target, it won't matter.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
they add weight, so it's okay. I like
Yeah.
them, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I would like to say is use the brightest.
Mm.
So I'm using, because the Bowman has to have a unique outfit, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm always using white
White
wraps
cresting
and
orange.
orange
Yeah.
feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Before I got Bowman, before I
Mm-hmm.
become Bowman,
Mm-hmm.
I just used white feathers.
Yep. Like
But in pictures, in photographs and in movies, I found out white feathers are not, you know, they're not as visible
yeah.
in the movie, in the pictures.
Bright orange is okay
And if
to
you
use.
have white feathers in your
Yeah.
quiver, yet they don't see it and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So I switched to that bright orange feathers.
Mm-hmm.
I
Fine.
think yellow would be also fine, but
Yeah.
on the other
Like
hand,
yellow.
I matched it with my,
Of course,
with
yeah,
my
you had your stuff
scarf and
already.
so on. Yeah.
It's horrible. Yes, so
And one
branding is
thing,
quite tough.
yeah, you
But
have
not
to.
everybody understands that, that branding is important.
Yeah.
But it's another topic.
And they don't get it because it not depends on how a good shot you are, but only on branding.
Yeah, of course.
So I said it before, I never could compete with Byron Ferguson, but I did a better branding that he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the way, and that's how it works. That's how it works.
Everybody understands it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next thing is,
how long are your fletchings? 5 inches? 6 inches?
5.5.
5.5. Yeah. Okay.
And low profile.
And you always must have the Saubuckel, that is parabol. They are the best.
Yeah, I have other ones too, but I prefer this. And because of Howard Hill, I like this.
Yeah, but they say that these are better when they are rounded at the back. They have not this drag when you have these, like Indian style, where they have these sharp corners backwards.
And you think when you think about hunting, they're making less noise than
exactly.
this little, this pointy stuff making more noise. We like it when we shoot them in base, but the deer,
Look, if even this one, he has 3 big ones and then 3 small ones in front, in a slightly always between the big one.
Interesting, yeah.
Fancy. And wood nocks, but these are pretty arrows too. Yeah.
And one more thing.
Yep.
With your thumb shooters and Asiatic guys and slow tie guys and so on, it's a different thing. But if you shoot Western style, let's say, I see also in Facebook and everywhere, they are gluing the feathers too far from the nock. So the closer the feathers are to the nock, here's about 8 millimeters or so. So the break, the break, or how you call it, the function of the feathers are are best when they are as far back.
The further back, the better it stabilizes it.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But you see, even when you imagine now, this would be a Turkish flight nock. They have even the feathers almost half in the nock, complete, but they have very small ones, but they are back there. So very small and almost in the nock. So
and I understand if you grasp an arrow like,
you always ruin your feathers.
that,
exactly.
Yeah, no problem with that. But if you're shooting Western style, put it as far
back
and
as possible.
you know, when I started archery, I also made me arrows with the feathers starting here because it was nice to grasp and so, but that's wrong.
You hold it anyway only at the nock, right? When you grab an arrow out of the quiver, you only have it at the nock.
Only.
So how much more space do you need than this?
You don't need it.
Exactly.
The nock alone is enough.
Yeah.
And the next thing is the nock.
Yep.
My favorite nocks are these mercury speed nocks with the big index here. So when you grasp it in your back quiver,
you feel it and
you have it on your thumb and it's all right on the bow, and even if you have it the wrong way around, but no problem. And I think we talked about it before. If it's about speed shooting, you need a nock with a kind of funnel. You see it? It's not like that, but it's like that. Yeah, it's a bigger one. But that's
and this is a nice one. You can really grab it nice and you feel it. This is the V-Nock from Vermeil. This is a really nice one. I like.
Yeah.
But of course, there are different ones. When you see this is the V-Nock. See that? This is completely the nock is very pointy. So this one, no matter how you hold it and you pull it, it always ends up in the string. So it makes life easier.
But I'm sure if you're used to it, you can do the same thing with that. And it's not the kind of extricated.
And even if you have the normal nocks, you make them a little warm and you take pliers and you bend them a little because they're a little too brittle, so they can break easily. But when you make them warm, normally these insert nocks with your wood nocks, I don't know, but these ones usually
I wouldn't recommend that.
I would not do it because you can buy it already open, because when you don't open all the same way.
The only reason why I switched to that aluminum arrows was this engagement in Italy, which didn't become true because of Corona, because I was depending on shooting fast, and I had 30 or I don't know 40 carbon arrows with the usual carbon arrow nocks, but they hadn't this funnel and this big index. So I bought this Eastern Legacy because they are 1132, so you can glue on this wooden arrow nocks.
And that's a nice thing on these aluminum shafts, that they have the same taper on the back, like a wood arrow, so you can use all the nocks you usually use for your wood arrows. You can use on your aluminum shafts. That's a nice thing.
Maybe one thing don't anyone knows about feathers. I had them with me in the Netherlands and it was raining and they stick together and so on. And if you have a kind of tea kettle, with this beak
opening up,
and you have their steam and you rotate the arrow over that steam, they become like new. So if they are stick together like that and you steam them, they are like new. Back then, we had a kind of feather powder. It was kind of baby S powder or something like that, and so they wouldn't become wet.
Others use hairspray, but it's still sticky, and then you have a lot of
smells. Oh, just a moment. I because we talked about it before, but I found this idea I saw in Idaho. Just a little moment.
Okay, we wait for you. Shall I entertain him with the Tennessee Waltz? I know he doesn't listen anymore. He was just listening to Elvis, the Tennessee Waltz. Ay. How is Elvis doing? Good.
Elvis is fine.
Elvis is fine.
He's my kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never had that idea before, but
with your condoms for the shafts when you have them, these plastic bags.
And I still have it from 2006. Nate Steen, a nice Howard Hill guy, bowyer. I have 2 bows of his. Told me this trick, and so this is a kind of, you know, for baby milk. You know, if the measuring how what is written on is, do not microwave or boil, bottle may burst resulting in injury, match with top of nursery, and I don't know. It's a kind of for baby bottle milk sheet stuff, and he showed me that thing. So you put the arrow here in, and you stick the nock through, and so you have your arrows in your quiver with this wrapping, and you can pull it out and knock it, and as soon as you shoot it, you know, the air will blow off, and the feathers are protected. It's very interesting, nice idea. But it's for hunting. You don't need it for any other purpose. But for hunting, it's a good idea, in my opinion.
When you stalk the animal for a while, you walk through the woods and through the rain 3 hours, and you
don't have to think about. You just draw the arrow, knock it, and shoot, and that plastic cover comes off, and the arrow flies. Interesting, nice idea.
For sure, a really good idea. Do you have your always 3 fletchings on it? 3 feathers?
Yeah. I never made me 4. I have some arrows with 4 fletch or 2. I have some for experimental, and for me, they still fly. But some people ask, why do you need 3 fletch when you can use 2 fletch? But it's a simple answer. If there's just a little wind, so the 3 fletch will divide the side wind into 3, and the 2 fletch will just start to, you know.
And the same was probably then with 4 fletches. They are more not so wind resistant than the 3 fletches. We need to do aerodynamic tests.
No. I think if you really think about it, that 4 fletches may be better. Because you divide it more, and you can't knock the arrow wrong side around. So 4 fletch, I never used it, but I think it has some clever idea behind.
I sold once.
I never had a problem with 3, so I never got to 4. But if you're living and hunting in very windy circumstances, I can imagine that the 4 fletch is quite better.
But you make them shorter, then you don't take 5.5 inches or something. You make them
smaller and shorter,
but
and
4,
so you
exactly.
but yes, and so you have don't as much wind
from the side
sailing effects or so side effects.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, to me it makes sense. Yeah.
Last time, as you don't shoot carbon arrows, I had last time the problem with in a video that all my nocks went in nice and tight and come out nice and tight, but I had on one shaft I had a special knock, the Koch knock, and this went in too easy. You know, it went in very, very light, and when I shot, it knocked a little on the string. It always came off, so I lost. Or one arrow went into the haystack, disappeared. I had to pull him out, and only by pulling out the knock got stuck. Of course, you don't want to super glue now the knock in. What could you do? I heard now a few different things that you use these from installation, this very thin tape. Use a little bit.
How is it called?
There's this Teflon tape.
Yeah, Teflon tape.
Or you put a drop of super glue there and let it dry like a small knob.
Yeah, so it's just, you put it in, the knock is just bigger.
a little more resistance.
Yeah, or you use some kind of thread or something.
Yeah.
You know, one string of thread.
Yeah. And pull it exactly on
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes sense because losing nocks is not a nice
yeah,
thing.
yeah. What I want to show you
Yeah.
is
Show me.
I got it, I don't know, many years ago. And this is this Bill Sweetland, how were they called, forge shafts or so. So this is a 5/16 cedar shaft, diameter 5/16, but it's 500 grains.
This is
And
compressed
it's
cedar.
compressed, yeah.
Yeah. Why don't they make them anymore, huh?
I don't know. I don't know. This is, when you shoot this arrow,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah. I can imagine.
impressive.
You don't have to go to 1132 inches. You have still 5/16, but the weight of a 1132.
The grain is so tight because it's compressed and so on. So
Nice.
I think it's too expensive for the broad mass to buy, and so they quitted it. That's my opinion on the business, because not everyone can buy a Rolls Royce, so you don't know.
Yeah, but how much is a normal shaft, and how much was this shaft?
But back then, a normal cedar shaft was very cheap.
Okay.
And the first cedar shafts, as far as I remember, were from, like today, from Oregon, and they made it from fallen trees. So they were rotted outside, and they just used the core of the rotten trees to cut and make this arrow shaft, man. And nowadays they have to use green trees and kiln dry them and so on. So it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And because of the big demand all around the world, because you think about in America, some crazy guys back then in the 50s or 40s and 50s liked cedar shafting, and nowadays all around the world they like to have them. And you can be sure, if you have a shop or so, in most cases they don't order the premium quality because the other ones are cheaper. And so in Europe, it's hard to get really good cedar shaftmen.
That's it. Well, I would be interested in these compressed cedar shafts.
Back then, there was a company. The name was Cedar Smith. They had compressed shafts, and they had tapered compressed.
Oh,
so
nice.
They had a taper and compressed. And I had one set of them. You could shoot them onto a wall. They bounced back. They weren't damaged. They were tough as hell and heavy, really heavy.
Nice.
But this company don't exist anymore. The arrows were too good, I guess.
But somebody could pick this up. I think it's not rocket science to get a machine where you can squish a whatever 11 or a 1-inch stick, and then you squish it together to 5/16.
You're right, Armin. But today when you develop a product, you have to go into a big market. And like you know it, there's a growing in archery, and most people go to an archery shop and buy 12 arrows or 12 and so on, and they even don't recognize how important is the spine and that's all.
But yeah, in the beginning, but once they learn then a little, and then they look for quality. I mean, we had the talk last time. Why should one person in the world buy a Leica camera? It's double as expensive than any Sony, which does almost the same and some things even more. But why is Leica so successful?
But it's a bad comparison. You know why?
No.
Because back then, when this Cedar Smith company made these very nice cedar shafts, there was the only alternative was aluminium shafts.
Okay. Yeah.
There were no carbon shafts around.
Okay. But
that's
still,
a big.
I don't. I think there's a market. It's not the biggest market, but on the other side, you
I
can't
would say so.
produce. You
Yeah.
can't mass produce them, I guess. So it's
Uh,
still only small numbers when you're one company and you fiddle these shafts through. You can't
uh,
make millions of
yeah.
them.
And if you're a kind of wood fetishist,
Yeah.
and you know this is the most expensive wood shaft, like
Mm-hmm.
a Rolls Royce,
Mm-hmm.
and these are tapered, compressed, and so on. I'm sure there would be a market because there are some people with a lot of money say, "Oh, I like the best wooden
It's
shafts around," and so on.
one example. And when I was in Sylt, I met a guy, and he was normally building surfboards. And then he started building a plex board, and a plex board is like a table tennis racket, a small one. And they have then very heavy rubber balls, and then on the beach they dunk, 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 play with it. And he built one, a wood frame, and then he put some laminated wood on both sides. It's really premium. It's really like a Rolls Royce or like an expensive boat. And of course, you can buy a set out of plastic for
Yep.
10 euros. And
Yep.
his ones was, I don't know, 80 or 100 euros. But he still sold them because it's simply different.
I mean, I
So,
totally agree with you. And one thing is, one big mistake, in my opinion, in the archery business is made today is to follow the market
mm,
and not to set the trend in the market.
yeah.
So if you know, you need, maybe you need 5 years, but if you're making a superior
Mm,
wooden shaft,
yeah.
you would get your customers all around the
Oh,
world.
and nowadays, it's even with social media and internet, it's easy.
Yeah,
In the times when they made them, they had only
yeah,
newspapers. So of course it was hard
yeah,
to get clients and
yeah, yeah,
grow a
yeah,
business.
yeah,
But nowadays, I
yeah.
believe if we convince Cody, as example, that he gets a machine and he gets some cedar shafts and he makes these compressed cedar shafts, we can sell them.
But you know, I worked with
Cody.
different
Yeah.
archery companies,
Yeah.
and when I said, let's make this
Mm.
or that, then they said, oh no, our customers won't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, they can't buy it because you don't have it.
It doesn't exist right now, exactly.
Yeah. And you know, they they won't buy it instantly, and it's not an explosion.
Yeah.
If you get your feet into,
Mm.
if you're the Rolls Royce of
Yeah.
shaftmen, then you will get your benefit, but you have to sit it out. You have to
And
stay,
and I
and you
said
have to.
nowadays you simply, sorry that I fall into your word again. Nowadays it's so simple. You have a few, let's call them influencers in
Yep,
archery. You know, you
yeah,
simply send them a set of
yeah,
12 and say, listen, would you like to test them and tell me your opinion? Or
yeah.
maybe like Mike has do a video or whatever. There are so many out there. They could do it, and all of a sudden you get way quicker nowadays orders than in the times when they were making these arrows.
You know what is the problem?
No.
There are very few really professionals in the archery business.
Yeah.
There's bear archery. There's,
Mm.
you know, these old companies, they
Yeah.
know about it,
Yeah.
and they're bringing up a new bow and new
Mm.
ideas. And, you know, they brought up the bear razorhead, a new
Mhm.
model,
Yeah.
shortly ago.
Mhm.
And, you know, the people will buy it because they
Yep.
love the old razorhead,
Yeah.
the bear. It's
Then
a
look at the
kind
new
of
one.
legendary product,
Yeah.
and they will buy it.
Mm.
And there are just a few real professionals, and most of the other archery business guys
Mhm.
are, yes, he's a kind of a carpenter or something, and he making bows too, and so on,
Mm.
and they don't know anything about branding a product.
Mhm.
And if I say this is the best shaft around the world,
Yeah.
that's a kind of branding, and I
Mm.
put a cool name on it. And I say, okay, this wooden shaft costs twice
Mhm.
from the usual shaft.
Mm.
You don't will get
Mm.
it, don't will explode, but on the long run, you will win.
Of course.
You will win.
I mean,
like
look
a
at one side.
Mercedes, like a Ferrari,
No,
like that.
you can compare it even easier. You look at charcoal, you know, it's in the soil and it's relatively cheap. But when charcoal gets pressed together with temperature, then a diamond comes out of it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it gets a lot of money. It's a diamond of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the oldest trick is if you would if you're producing arrow shafts, it doesn't matter if it's carbon or wood or aluminum. The oldest trick is to have 3 products. One very expensive, one low cost, and one in between. So everyone has to choose. I'd like to have the most expensive, of course, because it has to be the best. I don't like to buy the cheapest because, you know, but you will buy the one in the middle.
Yeah, I don't agree fully, because when I have a premium item, I only sell the premium item. You know why? Like Mercedes-Benz always did. It was always a premium car, and then they started with.
But you have an S class and an
A
class.
But then they started with the A class, and all of a sudden, a Mercedes, which was something not for a normal person, was available for a
kind of
person.
shit car.
And then you drop the whole image of your own brand. You should never do that.
I agree with you, but Mercedes is in that kind of bad example because they made a fancy egg car, and you know. But if you have Shaftman who say this is the very premium, this is the premium, and this is the standard, you know, it's always the same. It looks the same, but they are, I don't know, more compressed, or I don't know.
Maybe the sets are completely plus minus 1 grain, and the others are a bit more.
And you will instantly get the people who don't mind the high price because they like the best equipment around, and the other one you will get with the segment in between, and the other ones you will get with the cheaper products.
Yeah, so, but why should I say? Then you compete with all.
No. Just a moment. Your cheapest shaft has to be better. Than the most expensive of the. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So the premium has to be high premium, not just by name, but really high premium
quality.
And that's the way of branding. And if I give that shaft a nice name, you know, there are carbon shafts around there selling for, I think, the naked shaft for $40, one shaft. This I don't know, timber sticks, Alaska sticks or something.
No, timber sticks not, but there are these. There are a few there.
Alaska sticks. I think I have one here. It's very impressive.
It's ridiculous, yeah. Imagine you want a set of 12.
Yeah, but if you go out, and that's the thing, we don't have bow hunting here a lot. If you like to go out for your once in a lifetime hunt, to hunt the grizzly bear or you know, an elk or an wap or an moose. Okay, why? So the ammunition doesn't matter what it costs.
Exactly.
It's the same with rifles, you know. My one of my former bosses had a 500 Nitro Express repeating rifle, and one cartridge was 300 shillings back then. So they were sold by 5 pieces in one box, and each cartridge was 300. How is it in euros? 50 euros. Yeah. So you don't practice a lot with them, of course. But if you like to shoot an elephant or a Cape buffalo, it doesn't matter how this one. What is the price of this?
You don't shoot 1,000 rounds, of course.
Yeah.
And I think even in archery, one should not neglect the premium market, because what we see in general in economy is that this middle part breaks away. So you will have more rich people and you will have more poor people. So you have the ones they buy the cheapest Amazon or whatever, eBay or China arrows.
You never will get them into the expensive ones, of
And the
course.
other ones, they simply look for something premium because they can afford it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you need to simply tell them, look, and then it's all a matter of marketing and packaging and how you look. I mean, when your website looks like crap, of course, it's everything
Yeah.
branding when it works, and there's for sure a big market for it.
And you have to stay with it. You don't,
Of
if
course.
you can't do it just for 1 year.
No.
You have to say, no, I need at least 3 years to get into that market.
Yes, and you build a new legacy. You need to stick with it, of course, because this is then this unique, and you have a unique selling proposition. It's one who does it differently. And imagine then the premium would be then the tapered one.
I think I told it before. I'm good friend with Howard Hill Archery in Montana with Greg Aiken, and they had that arrow boxes back then in the 60s with Howard Hill arrows, with Howard Hill with the bow and Howard Hill arrows, cedar arrows, and so on. I said, Craig, make these boxes.
Yeah. Well, how much does it cost?
They're so expensive and so on. So come on.
Yeah.
And bear archery does it.
Yeah.
They're making these old bear archery boxes with the old bear archery arrows, and the people, I'm sure they buy it because they love it.
Of course.
And Howard Hill Archery is making one of the best matched cedar arrows around, and for a good price, but they don't have this Howard Hill box. And I said, you can charge them $10 more for 12 arrows. Just and so the box costs €5. Okay, but you still
make 5.
Yeah. But they are just very, and it's like with Byron Ferguson. He's a good friend of mine, but I think the Americans, in one way, they're very pragmatic. Greg Aiken, for example, says, I'm selling enough arrows. I don't need this box. And Byron Ferguson says, I'm doing just what is necessary to get to stay in business. I don't need to upgrade anything because it works. And in their way, they are right.
Yeah.
But, interesting. So what's also important with arrows? Do you have more ideas?
For me, in general, is that the basic principle, you can have the best bow in the world. When you have a crappy arrow, you will miss the target. If you have a really good arrow and you have only a snake bow, you will hit the target. It's the arrow and not the bow. But many people, or most people, emphasize way too much the bow and the bow and the bow and the bow, but it's the arrow which hits the target.
Because you said this snake bow word, our friend made one video about a kind of fake snake bow. Is it?
Yeah, there seems like there are copies. I got once an email from Agrolo that now in China they produce a copy of it. So they bought one most probably and made a mold and make them now. And I guess even in Pakistan or something, they build them now.
In fact, I wouldn't believe him that it's so horrible, because if there's no poundage, there cannot be any.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever shot a real snake bow and then you could compare it to this fake snake bow. Of course, every snake bow has a hand shock. It's a plastic bow. The limbs are way too heavy for what it is, and the handle is way too not massive enough for. But it's a 25 or 26 pound bow, and for this, it's just fine.
I tell you the truth. In my opinion, I never experienced any kind of hand shock, except when you used a very, if you used a B50 Dacron string and very heavy limbs and a too light arrow.
Yeah, of course.
But as soon as you're using a fast flat string and a heavy arrow, I think there's
On the snake bows, it's not recommended to use a fast flight string, and we use usually.
What damage should this string do to this bow?
Yeah, the plastic is not so good, and Agrolor once told me we should not use a fast flight because it's really bang. You know, it doesn't stretch at all.
Yeah, it sounds bang, but there
But
will
it,
go for,
yeah, but
let's
it
try
doesn't.
it. I will try.
I tried. No, I tried. I got a fast flight string once, and I tried it. It's nice, but then Agrolor wrote to me said we don't recommend fast flight. But of course, you still can do it. And when you see it's 25, 26 pounds at 28, our most lightweight carbon arrows we normally use are 300 grain. So you're still way beyond 10 grain per pound. So you almost have no chance to shoot two lightweight arrows on this bow because the poundage is so low. So that's why it's fine. When you shoot wood arrows, they have then 350, 400 grain, then you're in 15, 20 grain per pound. So it's no problem. Of course, it's not a monster bow, but it's a nice bow. And then hand shock, of course, when you have 200 different bows in your hand and you shoot a snake, you feel it. But of course, even Malta Archery offers now this little handle wrap around it because this plastic grip of the snake bow is not the most comfortable one.
No, that's not
fine.
true. That's not true.
It's fine.
If you have problems with this grip, you have shooting problems, not the grip is the problem, in my opinion.
No, it's this is the opening on the front. It can cause here some colors because when you shoot a lot, when you shoot only a snake bow, you get this problem because there's
with a 25-pound bow,
not because you have this gap in the front. When you hold the bow, only by holding it, yes. Of course, when you hold it like the Olympic ones, that you hold the bow like only like this.
Or if you heel the bow, if you're pressing with
of course.
There's nothing, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's not so dramatic, I guess, but there. Maybe the fake snakes are.
But a bad thing is that they fake it. That's true.
But of course, it's successful, and then they fake it.
But on the other hand, my question when I saw this video of our friend was Mac. I think it was Mac. What can they do as wrong so the bow is as terrible?
Let's assume that they
plastic is plastic.
No, let's assume that they bought one bow and they made out of this bow a mold and they didn't change anything on the design, then it can only be the material. And then, of course, plastic is not plastic. There is polycarbonate and how much of this percentage. So it's really a mixture of components which need to work together, that it's flexible enough but strong enough and not too brittle and whatever.
What I don't understand with these snake bows is why they are making them so string follow. Because they're really string follow from the beginning,
easy to shoot, easy to handle because it's a beginner bow. Makes your life easy.
But it wouldn't matter if it would be more straight or, I don't know. But they would have quite more performance out of this 25-pound bow if they would make it more straight or not so string follow.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but
it's still one of the best bows.
No question. Yeah, no question about it. No. Very nice bow.
And it's proven here, Malta Archery, 9 years, 8 years, 9 years now.
I still don't know where I got the idea from them, and then I bought them because I only use them. And you know what is? I'm using them in my shooting schools, archery schools, but I have many other bows with me, and so that's a bow we're working with. But try this one, try this one, try. I have this Kaya Korean bow and another glass fiber bow and a kind of wooden long bow and so on, and I let them try them all. And so that's the best basic for archery.
You don't have to think if it's a right hand or a left hand archer, he can still shoot the same bow. Imagine you have these Samick Polaris takedown bows and you have like we have 18 shooting lines. And then you need 18 of them, and then you have 2 lefties, then you need 2 left-hand bows, and it's just like go gaga. And this way you can use all the same and it's fine. So they're really.
I'm always making a joke when I have a new group of students. I say, who is a lefty?
Mm-hmm.
I said, one or two.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, so we are Democrats, so I explain it for right-handed people.
Yeah. Yeah, it always depends. I mostly say then, okay, what I explain, or for you, it's simply mirrored. When I say right hand, for you, it's a left hand. But I then simply show it quickly for him. But I explain it for the right-handers and it's fine. So they get the idea quickly. It's not rocket science what we're doing.
No. No. And my best thing is when I say, you will be surprised how easy archery is.
Yeah. You only need to
follow instructions. Have to shoot. You just have to shoot.
Yeah, and follow instructions. So don't look at the arrow. This is the only thing, especially the girls. I always see them again and aiming and trying. And see, now you will shoot too high again. Yeah, how did you know that? You said, because you were looking at the arrow. No, I didn't. I said, simply look at the target, point there, shoot. You
should know women or girls always like to look on the shaft.
I don't know. I don't go there, you know. I think it's more like they like to have control. They can't give up control. And it's always when a couple comes and they always tell, oh, she likes to have control.
But it's a different way around. Because if you're honest, you will know that most of the girls like to be controlled.
At the archery range, not really.
Okay, so you get more feminists at your school, but
depends.
In real life, even if they deny it, but
they like to be controlled. Yeah, you're from a different time and age. Yeah, of course.
No, that never changes. And if you think about it, from the Stone Age, from the first humans on,
changed all this female, all this, you know, female equality and whatever. Now they think they are equal, and they no, I control.
They are changed. Yeah, the fake idea or the wrong thinking is, of course they're equal, but they are women and the other ones are men. Yeah. And from the very first, I don't know, Homo erectus or, you know, erectus.
Do we talk about your shaft now again? No.
Yeah, shaft. Yeah. Erectus shaft.
You call him Homo, okay.
Maybe we should call it erectus.
Oh, yeah.
The new brand.
Homo erectus.
Yeah. Okay. It's very simple.
Yeah.
The guy who brings home 2 deer a day is the boss. The guy who brings home 1 rabbit or 1 deer is not the boss.
The one who doesn't bring anything home is called vegetarian.
A hippie. It's called a hippie. A socialist. Please feed me. Exactly. I'm not able to hunt.
Too liberal. Yeah.
And it's till today. And I don't know if we talked before about it, because most times I'm drunken when we talk.
Oh, really? We didn't realize that, especially last time. We didn't realize that you're drunk.
It was the 50th anniversary.
Of course. So you were drunk before already.
I had to be. I celebrated it. Yeah. No, but it's a kind of a little inside the Bowman books too. Because, you know, this Dr. De Veld is kind of shying away from the Bowman because he's a violent guy. He kills people.
Yeah.
On the other hand, and that's a bigger story about it, she's fascinated by him because every woman in her heart likes a violent guy because he's able to protect her children and her.
Yeah, and feed them, bring food home.
Yeah. And that's, if you say in the first book, it isn't as present, but in the second book, you will see it. Yeah. And, you know, in the third book, it will come out even more. Then
Disclaimer, guys, you need to order it on
Wow.
Amazon or ask Peter. He has you can give them a link. Really read them. They are now available, both already in English version. It's really worth it. And I don't get paid for it because I never get paid for anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just living by love and air.
Of course, no, I support.
And you know what I did today?
No.
I put the first 2 books in German language together in one sampler.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So that's a kind of, because I'm that kind, I'm not the kind of guy, but I like to be that kind of guy.
But do you think then on the other side, because nowadays you have the women, especially, let's say they are 30, 35, and they have a marriage already, they are divorced and they have a kid. And then they look for someone with a big car, with a nice suit, because he is not.
When they are 40, when they are,
he's
like
not,
you say,
he's not the violent one, but he seems to be the one who gives me more safety and a nicer life.
No, the free one, the unchained one, the strong guy, the bad guy. You think about, there were serial killers, and I know it from first hand from my friend Astrid Wagner. She's a lawyer, and she, with this Jack Unterweger and so on. And Jack Unterweger, a serial killer, got 2,000 love letters into jail.
Yeah.
So he killed women brutally, horrible, and they like to marry him. So that's a kind of perversion of this idea. Of course, but you still see, there are women around, 2,000 women who like to marry that guy. So you have to think about women, how they think. And I like to put it down, always, it's of course the strongest one. We get the best women.
But today is most probably the richest one, the one who has the most money, because this is assumed nowadays as the new safe.
That's true.
Only until, when we have a crisis like this, and
or until you're walking through a dark street,
and he runs away.
5 guys show up and say, give us your girl, then she will love the violent guy.
Or the other one who comes from the other side of the street, saw it, and beats these 5 guys quickly up. Yes.
Yeah.
And she will see that all the money doesn't.
And it sounds horrible, but I think a woman, a girl, is fascinated by a guy who is able to kill for her.
Yeah,
that's
like this idea.
A kind of core in the Bowman books, because they felt that is this, this hate, love, and that's the idea what I would like to spin on.
Yeah.
So it's a statement for real guys.
Of course, so real guys,
Yeah.
Wake up.
But real guys, but good guys, because what is that? I don't like to rant again, but I like to say it. In that Marxist idea, the violence one are always bad, but that's not true.
No.
You can be violent, but with a purpose.
Call it aggressive, not violent. Aggression, because it's an act of aggression, but even having sex is an act of aggression.
I wouldn't. Yes, no? If you really do it, maybe.
I mean, yes, of course, when you do it. Yeah, okay. But you know what? Thank you for your new microphone. It's really nice. Your voice is now so much nicer. But you sound a little like Elvis now, You should sing a little. What's the song of Tennessee Voice? Sing it.
Darling.
Oh, sing it. Come on, give it.
Tennessee Voice. I can't do it. I can't do it without music. No.
Come on, you can do it. Come on.
No, I can do it.
Oh, yeah, come on.
I have to train it.
Oh, yeah, look at him, showman, it's training.
But I don't know why, but last week it was the Tennessee Waltz.
By Elvis Presley.
It's a very sad song.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
sad song. I introduced my loved one to an old friend I happened to meet. Ja. Und dann hat sie die, the girlfriend fell in love with the other guy and so on. And yeah,
yes,
at the Tennessee Waltz.
Yeah, can happen, you know.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, better you realize it early than later, you know.
And Elvis, how you say it, sang it wrong. He sang, I remember the night was at the Tennessee fight, not the Tennessee Waltz, the Tennessee fight, night and fight.
But you know, on the other side, Elvis, even if he was famous, he had to work as an archery instructor to get a few girls, you know, to get close to girls, you know.
I don't know. Elvis was a lot into weapons, into guns, into karate, and kind of martial arts, and he did it on stage. He made karate features, or how you call it, and you know, there is a nice anecdote. When he was in his time, Richard Nixon was the president, and Elvis walked into the White House with a Colt in 1911, 45. It was a present for the president, and so you imagine a guy walking into the White House with
a gun.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, my
Unthinkable today. Unthinkable.
Yeah. They would throw him on the floor and
You will be dead.
Yeah. They shoot and then they ask questions. Yeah.
And you know, they hated Elvis because at first the conservatives hated Elvis because you know, he was shaking and making kind of sexy stuff. And then when he went to the military, to Germany, you know, Bad Nauheim, or I don't know, and then he came back to the United States, and then he was the nice guy. So the conservatives loved him because then short after the Beatles and, you know, that hippie shit grew up. And so he was, you know, he's saying American trilogy, Dixieland. And so he was a kind of Southern guy. And so, and he was that hippie style guy. He was a straight guy and so on, and had his Cadillacs and guns and so on in Tennessee. So they didn't like him. Like today with Helene Fischer or Gabalier, they don't need any tax money, so they disliked them. And Elvis didn't need any tax money.
I really didn't need no.
What is interesting about Elvis is, you know, you have to imagine or to compare to today, he never went out of the United States except for his military service. So today this was a world-round, you know, tourney or how you call it. And so the farthest way he was is Hawaii, this Aloha from Hawaii show,
America,
which was the first show aired by satellite around the world.
Nice.
Very interesting. You can watch it on YouTube, the whole show.
One can tell Peter is Elvis fan.
Be sure.
What are your three favorite singers? Elvis, Dean Martin, and Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. I don't, and some female like you know, Patsy Cline or these country singers. But because you can't get how you call it enttäuscht, you can't get disappointed if you ever choose one song of Elvis or of Johnny Cash or of Dean Martin, you never will get disappointed. It's always a good song and a funny song, and you know,
that song.
That's true. That's true. So I don't take any risk with music.
Yes, I can see that.
Nice. What more about arrows?
Yeah, who cares about arrows? Come on. It's a stick, shoot in the target, and
shoot it just right into the spot, and
it's practice, and not practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. It's not shooting for no reason. You shoot sloppy, you ruin your form, especially when you don't have a settled form already. And even if you're a seasoned archer and you start fooling around, you get bad habits. Don't do it. Every shot counts.
You know what Howard Hill said? He said, you can't hit anything if you don't have any wood in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have them. You should have them fly.
Yeah.
If they don't fly, you can't hit anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Arrow in the quiver doesn't do anything.
And as I always say, never shoot more than 3 arrows.
No.
Concentrate on the spot. Yeah. Shoot 3 arrows.
I got last week an email again of someone. Oh, you know, I watched now your video. Why only 3 arrows? I always shot 12 or whatever. And I had bad grouping, and now I only shoot 3. And all of a sudden, my grouping got so much better. Yeah. Has a reason why we say
there's one simple reason, because grouping with 3 is easier than with 12.
No, but tighter groups always.
But shooting 3 arrows is easier than shooting 12 arrows, of course.
When you can group, then you can group 12 arrows too in the same stroke, so it doesn't matter.
Should I show you my favorite boat?
Yes, please.
Look.
Oh, now he comes with a small compound bow. Yeah, I had one too. Or is this a recurve?
No, the compound.
Yeah, I had one too. Yeah.
So lovely, no?
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if they're still available.
I don't know.
I think they cost about 30 euros or so.
Yeah, but the bow stand is the expensive part of it, not the bow.
It's the most expensive thing, yeah. But this is so wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. Where's the arrow?
Yeah.
You see?
I know, but you know.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is 25 pounds. It's a little more.
I think this one is 10.
Yeah, something.
Around, yeah. Beautiful thing.
Yeah. For indoor, for quick on the desk, that's nice.
Yeah. For you know what I'm using it most for? Strip archery. You know it?
No, tell me.
You have a little target in the sleeping room, and if you hit the target,
the other one needs to get
the girlfriend has to rid of
one.
It's
like Flaschen drehen.
Yeah, just with archery.
Okay.
Strip archery.
Strip archery, nice. Okay.
In most cases, I do it with the bear. I'm shooting at the bear. If I hit the bear, my girlfriend has to strip off one of her.
She doesn't use her bear. Okay. No, wait, what?
Her fur.
Fur boys.
The fur is furry tales. Fairy tales. You ever seen this? There's a kind of, I was amazed when I saw it first, a kind of a pervert scene. They are the furries. You ever seen it? They dress up like cats or foxes, you know, with furry things and with tails and so on. And you look cute, of course. And then this ends up in a kind of sexual interaction.
No, never saw that.
No, you have to check it out on YouTube. It's interesting. And the interesting thing is, I'm thinking a lot about that stuff like that. So think about if you're not slim, or if you so you have a mask and you have that fur on, so it doesn't matter. So you're a cat or a bear or I don't know, or a raccoon, or I don't know. Interesting idea. And they stopped this scene because they had kind of conventions like that, comic cons or so, but just with furries in a hotel, and it all ended up in a big
group sex.
All furries fucked one each other. It's interesting, no?
Yeah, when I have time, I need to first watch the sun, and then I need to watch Yellowstone, and then I will watch the furries.
Yeah.
Still.
But you do nothing of them.
No, nothing. No, nothing. You know, my time is limited. I only have 24 hours a day. That's my problem.
But you have only one girl, so you should have plenty of time.
Who told you so?
You know, my girlfriend always says, "Oh, you have other women and so on." I don't know. No, be sure. It's one is enough.
If I could only have half of it, it would already be enough.
You anger me all day long and all night long, so I don't need another one.
But you only see her on the weekend, right?
Yeah.
So.
Unfortunately.
Oh, you need to say that now, just in case she watches the video.
Yeah.
Does she watch your podcast?
Yes, when
you make her to, but not from out of herself.
When I force her to.
Okay. No, mine doesn't. She doesn't care.
She don't look it. So she's not a fan of Peter?
No, she's not a fan of mine either, so it's fine.
That's
is understandable. Yes.
That's understandable.
Of course, yeah.
She don't likes Peter.
Yeah.
So she's kind of a unique girl. Keep her. She's unique.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope we could put some light on arrows and many, of course, other.
Put some light on your shaft. Yeah. It didn't take much, there's a small that is fine. It's okay.
Yeah. So take your shaft to the light. Shafts, take care of your shafts.
Shafts want to be enlightened, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Dalai Shafter.
Yeah.
Of course. Now take care of your arrows. This is more important than your bow. Everybody thinks about the bow and how to string a bow and whatever. Of course, it's all important. But when you don't have good arrows, the result will never be good.
Yeah. Not good and not enough.
No.
Yeah. And maybe one more thing.
Yep.
Never hesitate to put away a bad arrow. Don't throw it away.
No.
Pick a kind of hard target, a kind of fun shoot, a stone or a steel thing, and break it so you have real fun and the arrow is gone and you have just good arrows left.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Shoot good arrows.
Yeah. And the more difficult the shot is, use the best arrow you can.
Yeah.
And we have some similar arrows in the quiver, or similar.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have one favorite
one which is
arrow,
really good.
And then choose this one because this one is broken one time, so it's a little shorter than the other ones. And if it's a difficult shot, just take that one.
Yeah. I really invest in arrows. That's very important.
Yeah.
And we need to see that we get this compressed cedar going, that I have it now in my mind. I want to do this now. We need to find either one or we make it. Then I get you the machine.
Let's check it out. Let's check it. And one more thing. Stay away from the very cheapest arrows.
Yeah.
Especially carbon arrows.
Yeah.
These are dangerous arrows. And I don't like to say it, but I say it also, some of this bear paw, this very
cheap ones, of course.
Fine, cheap ones. These are dangerous arrows. I could break them like a wooden arrow. They are the fibers and so on.
For a low poundage, they are good, but you need to check them when you shoot only in the pellet, under the hay. We only shoot them in hay bales, so the impact is not harmful. But of course, if somebody shoots in a pellet underneath, you need to check already. And you always, when you have carbon arrows, always check them, bend them.
As you say,
always check them if you hear something or see something, and then shoot them.
If you hear kind of crispy sound or
throw them
so,
away.
and it's the same with wooden arrows, bend them, and if they break, they break. Then they are.
Don't
it's
shoot
not
them.
the same with aluminums. That,
of course.
You know,
don't bend an aluminum arrow because
aluminum arrows are good arrows.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward if I get these ones from Fairbow with a Bowman bow, but that I get these aluminum arrows. Looking forward to it.
Look at these ones.
Pretty.
There's an American flag and a kind of olive drab military and a nice broadhead on. Nice. And I got them, 2 of them, with a Ben Pearson, this glass fiber takedowns, which had also on this American flag with a kind of US Marine Corps. Nice. And I thought it was used in Vietnam or somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
we heard that Danny Erickson, he said that they used bow and arrow in military.
But since then the man in black got him, so he's away.
Now he had an accident. He fell and he lost his eyesight for a while. That's why he couldn't get back to us, and so he had some injuries. And he was once he's recovered, we will have him at the show again.
So he will tell us again how they did in warfare.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But now we forget everything because next week we have Mael, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, look at him. Oh. Then I bet, guys, I mean the bets are still open, but I bet that Peter will be shaved for next week. He will look like
I'm not. Oh, I'm not now. Yeah, of course. And we have a tie and tie and waxed hair and
yeah.
Oh, she's
only
nice
on your head, right?
Yeah. But you got it wrong.
What?
I'm not in love with her because she's just beautiful or so, because
you have the same mindset.
Not only because she surprised me.
Yeah, of course, I saw that. I understood that, yes.
Yeah.
And to this surprise, she is pretty. So this is this double thing, If somebody agrees with what you say, it's already nice for you. But then it's a pretty woman, and then you go, of course.
Yeah, if a pretty woman agrees with me, I'm in heaven.
Pretty woman. You talk the same like me, pretty woman.
You agree with me.
We sing right, so exactly. Oh, Jesus. We should make a music channel, huh? Yeah.
Well, maybe the next project.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So I hope for our viewers that we could give them some insights into...
Do you really hope, or do you even care? Oops. A little bit.
If they're able to pick the wisdom up,
I'm
happy. If they're not able to, I can't help them.
We do what we can with what we have.
Yeah.
And if it's enough, when we give them a small spark of information, it's fine. And if not, it's fine too. We only can do what we do.
Yep.
Okay, though.
Nice. Armin,
thank you very much for watching, everybody. It was nice to talk to you, Peter. Of course, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I sometimes have this thing that I interrupt people. You know that already.
I'm happy if you do.
Okay, because otherwise, we need to shorten the podcast.
To button the shortcast.
To button the shortcast, of course. Okay, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or anything else, please write it in the comments down there. And you can feel free and share this video if you like it.
And I like to say one thing more. Yeah. Stop sending me your underwear, female followers. Just send it to Armin. He loves to sniff on it.
You're in an age now, the underwear is more the size of a tent. Yeah, I know. That's why you don't like it anymore. Yeah. Mine are still the smallest string. You can barely see them. That's why it's fine.
So the next podcast we will do on string walking.
With Mael then. Yeah, of course.
How about string walking?
Okay, have a nice one, ladies and gentlemen.
Goodbye.